Hey everybody, Bearded Rogue here, and today I wanted to talk about Doom 2016. It is a remake of a game from back in the 90s. The second first-person shooter I ever played, the first being Wolfenstein 3D, which in my knowledge, was the first mass-market first-person shooter. So, I've kind of lived with this genre as long as it's been around. And this is a remake of probably the game I have logged the most hours into in my lifetime. I played the original Doom and Doom 2. I can't even begin to describe. I owned everything for it. The final levels, I used to play Doom mods back in the day. I've started toying with the idea of picking up some of the newer mods and the Brutal Doom conversions and all of the other new-fangled Doom stuff that's out there. But as an unexpected Christmas gift, I was given Doom 2016. So I say unexpected because, number one, I was given the PlayStation copy, or PlayStation 4 edition, and I do not own a PlayStation 4. My roommate, however, does. He knows my love of Doom. He's familiar with my past history as far as gaming goes, and knows how much I love Doom. And so they picked it up for me, him and my wife, and told me, you can use my PlayStation 4, no problem, just, enjoy. So I plugged it in, and it was like being back in Doom. And I want to kind of unpack that, because it looks nothing like the original Doom. The original Doom is very low-res, sprite-based graphics. This is, full, like, modern graphics. It's gorgeous as a game. But it feels the same. And so that's why I wanted to say that it's a triumph of game design, and why I feel it's a triumph of game design. So, it doesn't look like the original game. The controls are very different on a PlayStation 4 than the old mouse and WASD key controls that I grew up with and was familiar with. I mean, it took me forever just to get used to the dual action thumb thing. I don't play a lot of modern video games, and I never played a lot of console video games after my Sega Genesis stopped being the biggest, baddest, most modern thing. You could actually say that Doom and Wolfenstein 3D were actually my transition from being a console gamer to becoming largely a PC-only gamer. So, other than getting used to the console controls, everything felt right. And so, why did it feel right? Well, first of all, I think ID decided to do this way. Like, Bethesda had a big hand in this game as well, but I think one of the things that they did is they went back and instead of doing the modern shooter checklist, like, okay, what do modern shooters have? Well, they have cover-based shooting, and they have level-up systems that you carry from game to game, and they have lots of brown and gray and drab colors and, large arsenals, and, rather than going through the checklist of what Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or these other games that I've never bothered playing because I don't play consoles have, they went back and looked at the original source material. They went back and looked at the original Doom. And instead of asking the question, what does a game need to have to be a modern shooter, they went, why did so many people play Doom? What was it about Doom that captured the imagination? Like, our graphics are so much better, we have so much more technical capabilities, the frames per second are better. Like, why did this capture everybody? Is it just because it was the first? Or is there something intrinsic to the way this game plays that captured people? And in asking those questions, they were really asking about game experience rather than game mechanisms or the trappings of game design. They weren't looking at Doom as the theme or the branding. Doom 3 came out a couple of years ago and was a much more traditional modern shooter. It had the same modern shooter rhythms. It had a lot of the same elements of a modern shooter. They got rid of the old school Doom use key. A lot of the stuff inside of Doom 3 was very much born of the modern shooter genre. So it had the imps and the cyber demons and the shotgun and the Doom Marine and all of that stuff in it, but it felt like a modern shooter. It didn't feel like Doom. They borrowed a lot of survival horror ideas for it, making you a more fragile character, making the enemies bigger and badder and nastier, having them attack you from unpredictable angles and monster closets, that sort of thing. So Doom 3 was not a bad game. There were some issues with it on its launch, but it wasn't the game anybody was expecting because it wasn't a Doom game. It was a modern shooter with the aesthetics of Doom. So, you know, looking at just the aesthetics or just the mechanisms of Doom wasn't enough. They had to look at the experience of Doom. What experience did Doom offer? So the original Doom kind of created the gun labyrinth. The run-and-gun style of shooter. It was all about movement. You moved all over the place. You dodged projectiles. The projectiles that the imps and other things threw were slow enough that you could actually get out of the way. So a lot of the rhythms of combat were dodging enemy attacks and returning fire. Lots of strafing, lots of circling, lots of movement. John Romero, one of the creators of the original Doom, called it an arcade shooter, and that it was designed to give you the same kind of visceral feel of old arcade machines that encouraged you to continually pump quarters into it to keep going. They wanted it to be hard. They wanted it to be action-based, not standing still. The cautious approach in the original Doom wasn't really rewarded. You could play it cautiously, but you would usually end up, like, trying to take shots from too long of a distance away. And so, you know, your shotgun, the most efficient weapon in the original Doom, based on the amount of ammo that you get for it and how much damage it does, particularly in close quarters, wasn't a good long-range weapon. So most of the time you were encouraged to kind of run in and deal with things. Doom had a very ready, fire, aim aesthetic. You run in, you fire some shots off while you assess the situation, and then you switch up your arsenal as needed to deal with whatever it was you ran into. You know, you run in and you find a whole bunch of arachnotrons, maybe it's time to switch to your plasma rifle. The ammo for that is more scarce, it's more precious, you don't want to use all of it, but for some threats it's the right choice. But you didn't know that until you were already in the room engaged with whatever the enemy was. So that's one of the things about the original Doom. The key shortcuts to switch your weapons, numbered shortcuts, there being no reloading. You know, there were mechanisms like the shotgun would pump, you would reload the combat shotgun, but those were built into the thing. There was no physical reloading, you didn't have to choose to reload. The chain gun would fire from the moment you hit the button until the moment it ran out of ammunition. You would auto-switch to your next weapon. You didn't have to, like, click, 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 and realize that you were out of ammo and switch. So all of that stuff was built into making the game faster, giving it a more speedy, like, zippy type experience. And that's in this version of Doom. This version of Doom has that speed. The combat rhythm is the same as the combat rhythm in the original Doom. They've added a few things that are awesome. Glory kills. Glory kills are these scripted animation sequences where once an enemy has taken enough damage, it'll start glowing, and then you can run in and basically rip it apart with your bare hands. This gives you an expedient manner, or an expedient way of dealing with an enemy, that would soak up a few more bullets otherwise, but it also keeps you moving quickly. So you're attacking a room to weaken enemies so that you can glory kill them so that you can move through them. One of the other things they did in this version of Doom that actually enhanced that combat rhythm is in the original Doom, much like all shooters of the time, all of the health was gathered via pickups. You would run around and you'd have to find the health kit and pick it up. In this game, instead, glory kills give you health. The enemy explodes into a bunch of health. So in this game, health is a lot less of a, like, physical measure of how healthy you are and how many bandages you're wearing, and much more of a capability of being combat ready. It's much more of an assessment of how fit you are combat-wise. So when you're ripping and tearing and pulling enemies apart with your bare hands, you get rewarded with a little bit more momentum, a little bit more health on your side that moves you in that kind of direction. It's amazing how much that adds to the combat rhythm that already existed. It's no more fight a whole bunch of enemies and then search for the health packs to bring yourself up to full health, and then fight a bunch of enemies and then go grab more health packs. It's constant combat. You're in it, and you fight through the enemies. The best thing to do when you're low on health in the new Doom is to find an enemy to kill, which is what the entire game is geared up for you to do. And they combine this with the Doom guy, the Doom Marine, the Doom Slayer's mannerisms in a way that actually kind of meta builds the story. So the Doom Marine is a silent protagonist. He's always existed. He's never really been given a name or a backstory except in side material that's not the main games. But he's kind of always existed as this, like, proto-ass kicker. Like, that's what he is. He just exists to kill demons. And in this game, they made that the plot of the game. Like, the Doom guy exists to kill demons. He has all sorts of moments in this script, like little animations where it's nothing but his arms and interacting with the environment, wherein he could care less about the plot. Like, the first thing he does once he wakes up out of his sarcophagus and kills some zombies is to walk over and get his suit, his armor. He puts it on and then sees a display that's giving him an assessment of the situation, telling him demons have invaded. This is like an all-you-can-eat buffet for this character who exists exclusively to kill demons. Once you realize that that threat exists, suddenly, like, the plot starts trying to intrude. One of the main expositionary characters of the game, Dr. Samuel Hayden, tries to talk to you, and you grab the screen and you throw it away before he's even done. Like, later on, you're trapped in an elevator and Hayden contacts you again, and this time you can't do anything about it, so the Doom Marine just silently cracks his knuckles in frustration as he's forced to listen to this nonsense rather than kill demons. The reason the player is there is to engage in furious, fast firefights wherein you're obliterating demons and rending them limb from limb. The Doom guy's motivation is the exact same as the player. The story just kind of happens around him. And I won't say that the story is all that amazing, but there is a story in this Doom. There really wasn't in the original Doom. Like, they didn't even bother with it. In this one, they actually have it as like a layer on top. But the character that you play, the silent protagonist, from the way he hates demons, to the way he deliberately ignores the story, to the way he really gives no fucks about his environment. Like, there are all sorts of scenes in the movie where he'll just wreck stuff. Like, characters will try to tell him how to defuse things or turn machines off, and he just rips it apart, because the Doom guy has no patience for anything that isn't killing demons. That's what his entire existence is about. And so, the game being built around killing demons, making that combat rhythm satisfying, and driving you towards it, whether you need health, or once you have the chainsaw ammo. Chainsaw killing a demon now isn't just your fallback plan. It rewards you with a spray of ammunition for all of your other guns so you can get back to the running and gunning. So your chainsaw serves that purpose. So glory kills give you health, chainsaw kills give you ammo. Why aren't you killing things? The game says to you. Anytime that you're running low on any of the resources you need to actually engage with that loop. And it knows that its combat loop is its most satisfying loop. And it wants to keep you engaged in it and drive you towards it. So the mechanisms of the game are built that way. And then we get back to a decision that was made in the original Doom, which was very well considered then, but is even better now. Your antagonists are all demons. There's no question about whether they're evil or not. There's no moral ambiguity. They are alien They are horrible, they are monstrous, and they want to eat you alive. There are multiple examples throughout the game of how horrible these things are. And they even added some new lore, wherein, pieces of human beings are gathered together and turned into these gigantic gore nest devices that allow for a greater connection between hell and earth. And as the Doom guy, of course, you dismantle the shit out of these things in gigantic arena-style combats where demons teleport in to try to deal with the interloper who dared to wreck their shrine to the profane. But there's no ambiguity here. Your enemies are monsters, and they are monstrous, and they perform horrible actions. So killing them is not only not a difficult decision to make, it seems like the right decision. Like, again, reinforcing that loop that what do you do in a Doom game? You kill demons. Why do you kill demons? Because they're horrible fucking things, and because it's fun to kill demons, and because that's how you get more health, and because that's how you get more ammo, and because that's how you engage with the main loop of the game that is rewarding as a positive experience. And all of this was gleaned by just asking the question, why did people play the original Doom? What was it about the original Doom that drew people in, that made it a success, that had it sell millions? It wasn't just that it was the first-person shooter, because it wasn't. Wolfenstein was before it. There were some other ones that existed before Doom. Why was Doom the one that caught on? Was it its, angsty subversive themes and the fact that it dealt with hell and the occult and other risque subjects, the fact that it was filled with ultra-violence and lots of gore? Well, maybe some of that brought people to the dance, but what kept people playing Doom was the experience. And modern shooters don't offer that same experience. So in a world of Call of Duties and Medal of Honors and all of the other modern shooters where you buddy up to the nearest wall and occasionally poke your head out and plink things, and you have the repetitive loop where you die and then jump back in and die and then jump back in, continually earning credits that you spend on an out-of-game arsenal that you level up over time. Like, in this, it's very much an arcade-style shooter. Like, you exist, and your protagonist that you play exists to kill demons. And this entire game is a gigantic arena for you to do that. And it's one of the most fun games I have played in a long time. It is not an extremely cerebral game, and I think that's to its benefit. I think it's a very smart fun. I don't think it's stupid at all. I think it knows exactly what it's trying to do. And it succeeds in it admirably. And that's why I think Doom 2016 is such a radical success in game design. Because it knows what it wants to be. It creates that experience. And that experience sets it apart from all of the things that it's competing with on the market. This is the Doom brand. Smart fun that looks stupid on the surface. The ability to endlessly take out your frustrations on totally unrepentant antagonists that have no redeeming qualities. It's fantastic escapism. It's a fantastic game. And if you were ever interested in the originals, or if anything I've said here resonates for you, I highly recommend that you give it a try. Because it is the most fun I've had playing video games in years. I love it, and I can't wait to actually get back to looking for all of the secrets and watching the next piece of machinery the Doom guy destroys, and the next piece of story that the Doom guy chooses to ignore that maybe I, as the player, am more interested in. But anyway, Doom 2016, double thumbs up. Thank you, Bethesda. Thank you, ID. This is the follow-up to Doom that I've wanted since I finished Doom 2. Anyway, that's it for me today. Bearded Rogue, signing out.